What's up, everybody? I'm Zach with Hxppy Thxxghts, and today I'm excited to share with you our exclusive interview with OnCue. Last week, after releasing his The Chip video, QE joined us on Zoom to talk about his career over the last couple of years, the releases he's been dropping lately, and a whole lot more. Thanks for joining us today. How you doing, QE?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just it's release day.
Yes. You dropped that new video today. What's the reception been so far? I know it just came out, but
I mean, the reception has been good. Obviously it's a timely
yeah.
video. So with this, obviously it's different from Woozy in no way. It's less leaning on pop culture, but I keep seeing the response seems to be even to me, I wasn't sure how that shit was gonna come out. Obviously there's an opportunity at hand to kind of, I guess, capitalize on it, as blunt as that sounds, but it to me it definitely feels like pure and like organic. Like it doesn't feel like contrived. There's been other videos that have come out in the last few weeks as we were working on the shit, but this to me, and it just seems like people are appreciating it because it feels like what quarantine actually feels like. Like stuck in your crib doing weird shit because you're about to lose your mind.
Absolutely.
And so yeah.
You where'd you get the content? Those just fans that sent shit into you?
So some of it's fans, and some of it's just like friends and people I know. I just kind of it was tricky to put together something that was so reliant on everyone else but me and Hunter. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, you saying your fucking video? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? So yeah, some of it's actually fans. So I took a handful of videos from like just email submissions. So yeah.
That's cool. I saw you put out a casting call a while back. That was for this.
Yeah, it was for this.
Did you get how many people actually sent shit into you?
A bunch.
Yeah.
Honestly, at a certain point, it was just like, I mean, it was just like too much. I'm not
Yeah.
like, it was just kind of like, okay. And then I kind of eased off the fan idea because I was like, that's just logistically gonna be hard. If it's friends, I could be like, yo, this shit's boring. You know what I'm saying? Like Sonny, who's in the video, he sent in his first video was so boring. I was like, bro, it's like do something more interesting. You know what I mean? He was busy, he was tied up, but he ended up sending a better take. But it's real.
What's good with your method of releasing individual songs as opposed to kind of building to an album like you have done in the past and most artists seem to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of simple. I figured this would clearly come up because this is definitely like a sore thumb. But honestly, I thought about this back in the I call it the SoundCloud days, like 3 a.m. Boy on the Come Out time, that era of my releases. I thought about it then. I thought about it during PTF. I thought about it during I Hate Me Too. And for a multitude of reasons, it just didn't really make sense at the time to do it that way. And after I Hate Me Too, I'm like completely independent. I'm like completely, as in DistroKid is my distributor now type shit. That I'm kind of just on some like fuck it all, like fuck the rules, fuck everything. Sorry for my language. It's just I've been really leaning into this DIY approach, which kind of was always there, to be honest. And truthfully, I just, being self-aware, maybe painfully self-aware, I've always my one regret thus far in my career has been the lack of output. And that's actually been like against my wishes. It's always like outside forces, and frankly, I was just tired of outside forces being that roadblock. I feel like behind closed doors, most of my industry friends, the people I work with, I think a lot of them ride for me, not only because of like the content and the music and shit like that, but it's actually how hard I work, which I don't know if people who listen to me have ever realized that due to a multitude of reasons, you know?
Absolutely. It's interesting you say that too, because like when I think of you, as long as I've been listening to you, which is, you know, over a decade now, like when I think like do it yourself artists, like you're definitely, not many more people seem more do it yourself than you. Um, but as a fan now too, as a fan and as somebody who's going to be covering the music, it's dope that I like the fact that you're releasing every other week a new song, because it's given me more shit to write about. And I know, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's good. It's
Yeah.
not like here's a single, wait a little bit, and now here's an album. So I'm sure your fans are appreciating it.
Yeah, I mean, it's dude, it's different. It's, you know, I could sit here and kind of give like a company line. It's definitely different because like you naturally, I mean, me and my manager were just talking about it a couple of weeks ago. Like overall engagement goes down on social media posts, right? Because it's like, you know, it's naturally gonna happen. You know, you disappear for a year, you come back, and you're like, "Yo, here's a single." Everyone's gonna be like, "Holy fucking shit, bro!" But like, if you're constantly hitting them over the head with shit, you know, it's kind of like, "Oh, Q dropped a new song. I'll get to it in 2 days." You know, when I'm done with this final or whatever. And going through this process is it's interesting. It's like it's keeping me on my toes. You know what I'm saying? Like making sure the artwork, the song, the mix, the master is handed in, the video if there is one, like all at different times. You know, you don't just put out a song. The song comes out weeks and weeks after you submit it. You can't just like be like it's uploaded to Spotify. You know, it's been an interesting exercise, man, and that's all the other shit other than just actually writing it and making it. You know what I'm saying? It's been interesting, dude, for real.
This you know, the songs that you've been releasing so far in 2020, have they been kind of, has the creative process for those been kind of in line with when they're coming out, or are they from a little while ago?
So if we're including Woozy and Get Off Me, which kind of just came and went towards the end of the year, No Setbacks was actually probably made right before I Hate Me Too came out. So it's definitely like I started this process with a lot of clips in the chamber, so to speak. Cause like, look, I work my ass off, but I'm not the type of person or artist rather to like write a song every day of my life. You know what I mean? It's just not how I function. I try to come from like, you know, like a place where like I truly care. And if you're making a song a day, I mean, let's keep it a buck. Like you're gonna repeat yourself. It's gonna feel forced naturally. You know what I mean? And if you're trying to be honest, at least with where you're at during the day, um, it takes some time. You know what I mean? Like it does take some time. So it's been like I said, it's been like a balancing act. You know?
Definitely. And I think it's again with these songs that are coming out, like they span the spectrum of emotion and vibes, and you kind of you get to like dip your toes in all these different headspaces, which I think is, again as a listener, it's interesting to like you got Paradise and then you got No Saint, and they couldn't be further away from each other. So that's again, like, as somebody who enjoys the music, it's really cool to experience so many different aspects of you. And then when you look at OnCue over the years that you've been sharing your music with the public, we've got to experience so many different, I don't know what the fucking word is, so many different like forms. Like you morph and you evolve over time.
Very.
What how would you describe where your head is at right now as far as the music goes?
You know what? Like I said, it's really on some fucking shit. Not necessarily not caring about the final product. That's never going to change. I'm always going to care about the final product. It's just, you know what I kind of realized? Obviously my job is my job, and like if I'm trying to do my job right, I need to constantly be rethinking and retooling and restructuring how I'm going about everything. Because look, like I've been out for a long time. I think 99% of the people who are going to watch this, you, me, all probably think I should be a lot farther along. So I have a lot of work to do. You know what I'm saying? And whether or not, whatever the reason may be, you know what I mean? Not even trying to point blame. I constantly have to retool it. And what I was so tired of doing for a majority of my career was overthinking. And I know that sounds kind of like oxymoronic in a way. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm telling you in one sentence, like I need to rethink everything constantly. I just kind of came to the conclusion, it's like overthinking kills. Like every time I put out a record that really clicked with like my fan base and then new people, right? Like outsiders, so to speak. It's just I just went in and just did what I do. And I put the 10,000 hours in. Shit, I put more than 10. I'm probably at 20. And like my whole kind of thesis is like my average records are better than a lot of people's really good records. And if I believe that, this is why I'm still doing this, other than the fact like it feels like a need in me to create, then why don't I just apply that? You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean I'm trying to give the fan base or whoever's listening to me a lackluster product. It's just like, if I'm this confident in what I make, why don't I just do whatever feels right at the time? So whether that's a Paradise or a No Saint, and just put it all out. The other thing is I kind of, someone like yourself probably, I know through your writing, you've listened to a majority of the stuff that I have available. I don't think the common on the fence follower on Twitter or Instagram knows that I make records like Paradise damn near on every project. Mm-hmm. But it's sitting in the cut. It's not, it doesn't come out as a single. And that was kind of what's also beautiful with this is like those new people kind of coming in and out, you know, not the more devoted ones get to see every side of me that they may only see in the Cry Wolves and the Field Talls and whatever, you know, those like inspirational kind of indie leaning. And then you have like my aggressive joints like No Way and Business Booming. You know, by now there's kind of, you can kind of break down these different OnCue records if you really think about it. And I don't know, it just feels freeing to give it all out in the same exact way and just see what happens, you know?
Definitely. I think too that like that not giving a fuck energy, like these records that are coming out right now, you feel it when you listen to them. And you could look at other artists as well. And when they start to embrace, when that authenticity shines through in the music becomes a better product. Do you think now that you are, because you do have a lot of fucking music out there, you know what I mean? You got a pretty extensive back catalog. Do you think you're making the best music of your career right now?
Yeah. If we're considering I Hate Me Too as this kind of like one rolled up era, because I think it's likely the most similar, yes, by far. You know, obviously I see comments every now and then like, oh, I wish you were back in the Can't Wait days, or like the Huey Sings the Blues days, or even the Angry Young Man days. To be honest, right now, I didn't really start liking my own music truthfully until AYM. And that's not to say like I didn't do great things on Can't Wait and stuff like that. I personally cannot listen to Huey Sings the Blues. It's, my flow is off. Like there's like elementary shit that is wrong with it. Never mind like the mix and the master, but like I'm not gonna get all like nerdy on that. And it wasn't until really AYM I truly started to believe in myself. And I honestly think it's kind of obvious if one was to like listen to my discography after, because then after AYM, I think there was this noticeable confidence in what I was doing afterwards. Like trying to pull off AYM from a production standpoint with no budget, how layered and heady and dude, way too far. I had 187 separate audio tracks. I'm telling you right now, that's not normal. And it was just really cool. So to pull off something that heady, I kind of proved something to myself. It wasn't who was involved. It wasn't where I was at in my career. It's truly like I felt like I made something that I wasn't sure if I could finish outright while I was making it. As stupid as that sounds, it's the truth. But I do. I feel like I finally found my voice, and I feel like this is something Just was saying, like around the time PTF and 3 a.m. I think I finally figured out what I wanted to be in all of this, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And again, you know, not to keep bringing it back to this, but as a listener, I would agree with you that like when you dropped Angry Young Man, that was like the foundation upon which everything else has kind of been set off from. Do you have any tracks, records, albums, projects that you've dropped that you regret putting out, that you wish you could go back and kind of take out of the catalog?
I mean, I would say like there's not projects. There's definitely songs like I Hate Crashing Down, which is an old song. I was never really a Dave Matthews Band fan with. And like honestly, at the time, I was in my car. I was back home in Newington, Connecticut, and it was right before I moved to New York. And I was like, oh, if I rapped over this, college kids would eat it up. And this is all prior to the frat rap phase that is definitely in the rear view mirror now, which I hated being a part of. And it gave me a lot of fans, and it gave me my career, to be honest, but I didn't like what it stood for. So Crashing Down is just kind of the embodiment of that era for me. And it was a marketing ploy. And the song's not terrible. It's just like what it stands for now in hindsight is 2020. It doesn't really jive with me properly. You know, like I didn't know what I was doing. I was just a fucking kid just trying to figure out how I could get fans any which way possible at the time. And then things started to get more serious, you know, like after that was like the first thing I think I got like a wave of fans from too, which is ironic, but yeah, you know.
Definitely. The first my introduction to you was that Chili Peppers tape.
Oh wow, so that's super old.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. Honestly, I didn't even know anybody knew of that tape outside of like kids in my hometown. You know, it was so early.
Yeah. So that was when I got put onto you, and at that point I was big into the Chili Peppers and just getting into underground rap. So to have that crossover really set it off for me. Yeah. When did you dip out of CT? What year was that?
2010.
2010?
It's the year Huey Sings the Blues came out. I had a majority of it done. I took out a big living loan for Brooklyn College. That was how I paid my rent for the first 6 months, kind of. I was still doing the freelance graphic design thing. So if I had an internet connection, PayPal, I was, you know, making some money. I wasn't like pressed to find a job, so to speak, with those two things compounded together. But yeah, it was 2010. And Billy's calling me, who produced Chip. Gotta hit him later. But yeah, man, you know, it was 2010. It was a long time ago. I was a little kid. You know.
Yeah. What's kind of looking back to that? You're, you know, getting started in CT, moving to New York, moving to LA now. What have been some of the biggest, not even in regards to music, but like what have been some of the biggest like lessons that you've had to learn the hard way, but that you kind of hold closest to your heart now?
Ooh, I mean, there's so many like subsectors of life. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I learned a lot career-wise living in New York. You know, I was in New York for so long that I was able to see behind the curtain of the music industry and kind of see it for what it is. Whether that's press or fame or like all that shit. You know what I mean? There's almost so many I would struggle to say. You know what I mean? Like regardless of what I was saying before, where I deserve to be up here and I'm not, I I have from for a kid who's from a small town in Connecticut, I've gotten so fucking far that like you told 14-year-old me, I'd be like, holy fucking shit, you did this and this. And and I guess to really tie it up in a bow is like everything's about perspective, right? Like every day, yo, my manager's gonna kill me, but every day I feel like a fucking failure. You know what I mean? And some people are gonna be like, oh shit, that doesn't sound mentally healthy. But the fact of the matter is like you work so hard, you go so far, and in the end, it doesn't even matter. Nah, I just call it like I'm a cornball. But like it's all about perspective. And like what you want in life is all about perspective. And that's something I learned through the years. Just actually it hit me one day. Someone messaged me, I forget on what social media. Sorry if I'm not making sense, but they were like, hey man, congrats on everything. I don't know what they were congratulating me for. And they were like, you know, I'm sure you're realizing the closer you get to the top, you realize there is no top. And and I think this was like 2015, 2016. And I was just like, damn, that's a bar. And that was something I learned career wise so hard, you know? Um, and then just on some personal shit, you know, obviously the passing of my mom, so many things in perspective, you know, so many things in perspective to just appreciate life, appreciate the loved ones even more. And I was someone who definitely appreciated the people around me, but man, I'll never forget. Just months after she passed, it was like some small shit would come up, and I'd be like, "Hey, who cares?" You know, like it's fine. Like we'll live. You know what I mean? And yeah, sorry, I was a little bit all over the place.
No, that was a good answer, man. That was good. What you had Billy was calling you, Billy Wonka.
Yeah.
Where did you link with him with Theo, Life of Theo? How did your relationship with the producers you're currently working with kind of come about?
So Billy, we met through a mutual friend who goes by My New York Summer. He introduced us. It's abbreviated to MNYS.
Yeah, Nick, right? Nick Cozine.
Yeah. So Nick linked us up because I knew Nick back in New York, and then, you know, Nick's like just such a great guy. He's like, yo, what do you need? And I'm like, honestly, bro, like what hinders me from like creating a lot is I'm very picky with the beats, and I'm very picky more specifically with the melodies throughout the beats. So he linked me up with Billy, and simultaneously around the time, I found Theo on a loop website, like where just producers make loops. And I started doing that halfway through I Hate Me Too because I realized it expedited the production process infinitely faster if I went to these incredible producers I work with loops in hand that I was already messing with. Because I don't usually write a song unless there's a chorus that I believe in on it. You know what I mean? Like I've been rapping for so long that I don't want to say rapping's easy. I don't want to like disrespect the art form. But the fact of the matter is you can always make a dope verse to a beat. You know what I mean? You're more reliant on the chords and the melodies of the beat for the chorus. That's just, you know, music theory wise, that's what it is. So I found Theo's stuff. He was just making a bunch of loops, and I just reached out to him because I just found like a plethora of like shit that I was fucking with. And then Billy's amazing on the keys too, but Theo just I think we think more similarly about melody, and he just kept sending shit. So we started a group chat, and I haven't met Theo in real life yet. You know what I'm saying? He's out in Colorado. So that's kind of been like the new workflow since I got to LA. I'm still working with Turbs, who's in New York. I'm still working with Brenton, who's out here, but that's just between me, Billy, and Theo. We just been shitting out records. You know what I mean? Like we have a process down, and Billy actually lives like 6 blocks from me, so it just worked out. Like we're both like in Hollywood, and just worked out. So yeah.
You got anybody you think any producers that you think you would work well with, or that you would like to kind of cook up a record with?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and obviously, like, industry bullshit separates you, makes it difficult sometimes. There's a lot. There's always just certain producers that I always notice that, again, going back to the melody aspect, right? Like, I love that dude, Teddy Walton. He did, like, Kendrick's Love. Every time I see his name on a record, like, I tend to fuck with it. I'm like, I would probably rock with this, DJ Dahi is another one of those. And then, like, even more on the, like, non-traditional rap side, I guess, like someone like Shlomo, who I really love. His production is just awesome. Actually, for the AYM tour, like, I came out every night to a Shlomo record just playing for, like, 3 minutes straight. Just having people sit there listening. It's like experimental shit, and then it would go into the title track, the AYM. Yeah, there's a bunch, like Clams Casino. Honestly, I feel like Afterlife off I Hate Me definitely Clams inspired the beat was, and when I found it, Jorge, who produced it, Arenas, I said, yo, it kind of feels like a Clams Casino beat, which I love. You know what I'm saying? The ethereal synths and shit like that. But yeah.
You going back to what you said earlier about everything kind of being perspective and what you want out of life, and what are you trying to accomplish now, artistically? What are your goals kind of moving forward, at least moving forward throughout this year?
My goal is to truly just put out as much shit as I can. And going back to this like ebb and flow of this whole process and just dealing with how much of a headache it can be. I just want to put out so much shit. I just don't want to have regrets, dude. Like I just don't want to have regrets. I massively regret a bulk of my career where like I wasn't putting out a project every 11 months. It pains me. It like literally pisses me off because sometimes I question, I go, did that shit hold me back in the past? Was that the reason? You know what I mean? If I were to say anything else, I'd be lying. So fuck it. You know what I mean? Like I just don't want to have regrets. And honestly, it's hard going a handful of days without creating. Like it's hard for me. I like start to get like stressed and kind of like agity and shit like that. It's just like writing a song to me that like I'm really connecting with is like I definitely probably like tweeted this shit sometime before because it's the truth. I'm not a religious person, but it's the closest feeling I get to like a god or like anything otherworldly. It's just like, I don't know. It was just like, I think it was why I was put on this earth. You know what I'm saying? Like that feeling. And in some ways, I guess like I'm totally an addict about it. You know what I mean? Like that's what No Saint was about. You know what I mean? It's just, I've you know, risked a lot of shit for this career, following this path this long. You know, at certain times it's put me out on my ass financially, mentally, personally, and I still can't let go of it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if I have any regrets in regards to that either, you know?
Definitely. You the end of your new video, just to circle back to that video real quick, right at the end it says no one knows anything. Is there a significance to that?
Yeah, it's the I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's every single time I put out a record and it's done well. Like, this is more like business related shit, but I feel like you're working on an album, right? And you have a manager, and you have the producer, and you have the engineer, and you have the director, and this person, and this person. Everyone wants to give their 2 cents of like what this single should be, which is now becoming like an archaic idea, right? And I swear to God to you, throughout the course of my career, if you really, really, really want to start at like Feel Tall is when things start to get really serious. Other than Feel Tall, I don't know if there's one song I knew that would do well. You know what I mean? Like, No Way off AYM, did not know. And this is all relative to me. You know what I mean? This is all relative to me in my career, and I feel like maybe other artists would probably appreciate this point of this conversation more. It's just like 3 a.m., which led to so many opportunities for me. Did not know. My manager didn't know when I was still, you know, working with Just. Did not know. Me and the engineer were joking around how the cover was going to be me on like a leopard print rug. You know what I'm saying? Like butt ass naked when I cut it. It's just no one knows anything. Not in these days, not in this market, not with how music is distributed, discovered. No one fucking knows a thing. So going back to this whole thing, labels don't know, artists don't know, no one knows. You know what I mean? Shit, I would venture to guess Drake and OVO don't really know. You know what I mean? Like that's why people are putting albums out first and then thus letting the market dictate the single afterwards. And it's just everyone thinks they have the answers because everyone now has a voice with social media, but due to that, no one actually knows anything. No one knows anything. It's the truth. If you function off that, then you're kind of letting go of some like unneeded pressure and stress. You know?
Absolutely. What are you doing aside from music? What are you doing during this whole? I know lockdown's kind of technically ending and shit now, but what have you been keeping busy with, or has it strictly been music?
It's been music. You know what I mean? Like, just the simple fact that I have such a heavy hand in the videos, in the graphic design, obviously, it's been a whole lot of work. You know, so had a couple tour opportunities this year following I Hate Me Too. I didn't want to do it. I was like, no, I want to put out more shit. I think it's just going to be better for my career in the long run. So nothing really changed with quarantine. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't trying to book shows. I was trying to be in this room. My mic is right here, but it's oddly perfectly out of frame. And Billy's crib, pretty much. Those are the 2 places I record. And you know, if me and Brendan are working on something, he's LA based. Like it'll just be like telecommunication. I'll pop in to his crib and then take the beat back because I usually write by myself. Actually, I always write by myself. So I spent a lot of time in this room, to be honest. I have no qualms with it, you know.
Yeah.
No qualms, you know.
Definitely. What talk to me a little bit about your relationship with Hunter, because you guys have created some super creative content for a while now. How did you guys link, and what's the creative process kind of like there?
Yeah, I mean, for my CT heads, like Hunter was shooting a lot of, you know, he was he was everywhere on the local tip for a long time. But I knew him through Jitta on the track,
Okay.
and you know, I reached out to Jitta to link me with Hunter for So Much Love, which was 2014 for AYM, because I knew I needed to shoot it back home. It was this whole like story thing, clearly kind of set in the suburbs, clearly not set in like New York, Brooklyn. And then from there, like me and him did So Much Love, and we're very similar people. You know what I mean? And that's like clearly we're different in a lot of ways, and we have different strengths. You know, but we're very similar in the fact that like we both just truly care about the final product more than anything. And then from like So Much Love, man, it was like we just clicked. Like I think we realize we're very similar in that way. And Jitta told me that too. He's like, "Yo, you vibe with Hunter hella hard," you know. And he linked us up, and it just evolved from there. The fact of the matter is, he's one of my closest friends. Regardless if we're working on a video together or not, we probably talk at least text once a day. You know what I mean? And he's been out here before I moved out here, here in LA. So I mean, he's just we just make good shit together. You know what I mean? Like his aesthetic is kind of like 3 a.m. personified. You know, like that's his shit. And then a lot of the meta shit I'm usually pushing for. And he believes in the art of it all, so do I, but I also believe and he believes in this too, is that videos are just commercials for songs. You know, so how can you grab people's attention the most? And that's usually what I'm always like kind of pushing him to do. I'm like, let's do some nut shit. Let's just fucking have me hanging upside down with a fucking pineapple over my crotch. Like I'll get crazy, you know what I mean? And then he'll kind of reel me back. And I think his heavy belief, so to speak, in aesthetic, making things look pretty and kind of my wackier ideas, that's what you get, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to CT real quick. It's interesting to me, you know, it's not like a place where mad people have popped off from, but you can look around and there's certain artists who have gotten a little bit of recognition coming out of CT, and they all have pretty unique styles, you know, like I wouldn't compare like Dom McLennan is a friend of mine, and like he doesn't sound like you. You guys don't sound like Webby and Jitta. You know, Jitta's got some recognition. And what are your thoughts on? I know it's been, you know, like you said, 10 years since you've been in Connecticut, but what are your thoughts, kind of, on the music scene in this state?
I mean, look, I'm gonna preface this with I haven't lived there for literally,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and to be honest, my career didn't really start doing anything ironically until I left.
Mm-hmm.
Though I feel like most of the DJs, the local DJs, they knew who I was, you know, because of the music, but I was also doing graphic design for a lot of them. I was designing their mixtape covers and shit like that back in the day. I'll say this, like, I love where it's at now, and I hated it where it was at when I was there. I think the internet has changed a lot of that. I was literally very ahead of the curve. Not only was this a long time ago, but I was also very young when I was ahead of the curve. When I was there, no one cared about the internet. Everyone cared about getting their record played on the radio. And I think just being kind of like blackballed by the radio, like they didn't want to fuck with me. I was like a 16-year-old white kid, and like my voice was kind of high pitched back then. And so I took to MySpace, you know what I'm saying? And shit like that. Where it's at now, I think it's beautiful. But unfortunately, just knowing how cities and areas break in terms of hip hop, I feel like it didn't really start having a scene until Snoza, or I know she's changed her name a few times, and Chill Shunk came along. You know what I mean? And kind of added that whole shit. Like they have a whole culture around it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what this place needs for it to really succeed. Obviously, Dom's doing well. Webby's been doing well for a long time. You have Annoyed who's doing well. You know what I'm saying? You have Wit who's doing well. And then you have myself, right? Like we're all respectively doing shit, but as much as it's a beautiful thing that we all sound different, I think it kind of holds the area as a whole back, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I thought what Snopra and Chill Shump did with Yank Rhythm was like I had a smile on my face because I knew exactly what it was. It was bigger than just that artist. You know what I'm saying? And that can sometimes be a problem. I know that may be confusing to some people, but I think it makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. You don't collab very often with artists. Is there a specific reason for that, or is it just you like doing your own thing?
I hate waiting for things. I hate waiting for things. I don't really like it. There's sometimes where I kind of regret it, but then there's like if you look at like half of an OnCue album, like a proper album, it's like I don't even know where some of these artists would go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that sometimes maybe I just can't let go of it, and maybe I'm looking at it too hard. But it's like I don't know where is Jida gonna get on Past Life? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like like. So that's why I try to do it every now and then. Actually, I try to get Sonny to do some like harmonizing on Past Life. Funny enough, because he's more on his like indie pop, rock, R&B shit. Last couple years, and I just wanted his voice on the album, just because like I'm still very close with Sonny. Um, he's like a great friend of mine. So I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like on some arrogant shit. I'm just like, I feel like I'm gonna do this verse better, you know, like, and that's not a shot to anybody I love and respect and fuck with. It's just, I mean, I am confident in myself. I don't know what to say.
Nah, I feel you, man. That makes sense. How's Dunder? How's your dog?
He's great, man. He's about to turn 2.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. We got him. Me and my girl got him at 8 months. And he was just clawing, love biting, hella. He's like oddly the most friendliest dog in the world. Like he loves human beings. It's like almost annoying. He'll see, and he's like a dog that knows he's cute. So like he'll see like a girl walk down the street, and if she doesn't give him eye contact, and he's like kind of eye fucking her, and she'll look over, and then he'll be like, woo, woo, woo. Like he's a wild one. But yeah, shouts to Dunder.
Looking like I won the chest. Screaming out Kobe, yes, I flip my wrist. Ay, you ain't give a fuck, I don't give a shit.